In today's session, we'll be learning about discrete logarithms, and then we'll be applying the concept of discrete logarithms in a key exchange algorithm called Diffie-Hellman key exchange. So this is the agenda for today's session. Let's first start with discrete logarithms. Let's understand discrete logarithms by using a simple example. Can you compute the value of this? What is 2 power 5? It's very easy. You can very well directly say it's 32. How about this? Can you compute this? So I given the result, and what is 3 power something? So 3 power something should give us this result. Can you compute this now? Can you quickly tell me the answer? So by this time you might have realized computing this is not as easy as computing this. Say when you know the exponent, it's always easy to compute the result, but to compute the exponent from the result is not an easy job. Consider that these two numbers are very large numbers. Say there are like these numbers are 2000 bit numbers, so it's very large number. Then computing the exponent is not an easy task. So we're going to use this as an advantage in cryptography. So it's almost like a one-way function. It's very easy to compute from year to year, but then it's very difficult to compute the exponent given the value when these numbers are very large numbers. Did you identify what is this exponent? It's actually 17. Mostly we go with brute force attack here, like 3 power 0, 3 power 1, 3 power 2, 3 power 3. When there is a match attained, we're going to stop. As I told you earlier, this will take a lot of time when these two numbers are very large. We can also say 5. 5 is nothing but log of 32 base 2. Normal logarithms which we have learnt in our school days. Likewise, what is 17? 17 is nothing but log of this number base 3. Normal logarithms, in general, we can say p raised to the power I is equal to q, and we can say I is nothing but log of q to the base t. So this is normal logarithms. We have to look at discrete logarithms now. Let's understand discrete logarithms with an example. Can you tell me the value of this 3 power 4 mod 12? What is 3 power 4 mod 12? It's 81 mod 12. So the result is 9. So again, when you have the exponent, computing this with respect to a mod value is going to be easy. Now can you tell me what is the exponent I here? Say 26067 is equal to 14 per I mod 29867. Can you tell me the value of I? So again, you might have realized here the issue. The issue is it's very easy to compute the result given the exponent, but then given the result, finding the exponent for very large numbers is very difficult. It's going to take a lot of time. It's not easy. So now we can say I to be the discrete logarithm. Actually, what is the result here? It is 14 per 12 mod 29867 is equal to this. So if I have given you this value, you would have immediately told me this is the result. But finding the exponent, having the result is a tedious task, and we are going to use this as an advantage in our cryptographic algorithm. We can also say 4 is nothing but the discrete log of 3 mod 12 of 9. So what is 4? 4 is nothing but discrete log of 9 to the base 3 and mod 12. So here 4 is called the discrete log. Likewise, how can you represent this 12? 12 is the discrete logarithm of 26067 to the base 14 mod 29867. So in modular arithmetic, you call the exponent to be the discrete logarithm of a value to the base of a value mod the value. So the only key concept that you have to understand here is computing the discrete log takes time for large numbers. It's not easy. In general, how we can say this? A is equal to b raised to the power I mod m, and I, which is the discrete log, is given as discrete logarithm of a to the base p mod m. So this is this modulus m, and this is this b, and this is the result we attain A. Let's take more examples. Can you compute what is 2 power 5 mod 3? Can you take your calculators, compute this quickly and give me the result? It's simple, it's 2. 32 mod 3 is nothing but the remainder is 2. Likewise, 4 power 4 mod 11, what is the result? 3. So 256 minus 253, you're going to get that as 3. So you would have understood very well right now that if we are given with this value, say when we know this side of the equation, computing this is very easy. Just like that we can compute it. But can you compute this? 8 is equal to 5 raised to the power I mod 13. Now you have to compute I. I is the discrete logarithm here. So how will you determine I? We can also write I like this. I is equal to discrete logarithm of 8 to the base 5 comma mod 13. So what is the value of I? Can you tell me? The only way we have here is, the only option is we go with trial, brute force. So we'll go with 5 power 0 mod 13. What is 5 power 0 mod 13? It's nothing but 1. What is 5 power 1 mod 13? We'll just increase the exponent. 5 power 1 mod 13 is nothing but 5. What is 5 square mod 13? 5 square mod 13 is nothing but 25 mod 13. We're going to get 12. What is 5 power 3 mod 13? Can you compute this? What is 5 power 3 mod 13? 5 power 3 mod 13, you're going to get that as 8. So we have attained this. When I raise 5 to the power 3, I'm getting the result 8. You can very well verify this. So what is the value of I here? I is nothing but 3 is the discrete logarithm of 8 with respect to base p mod 13. So you call 3 to be the discrete logarithm. So what we have found out here is the value of I is nothing but 3. But can you go and check? So this is what we have found out. 8 is equal to 5 power 3 mod 13. When you compute this, you'll get the result as 8. So the value of I is 3 here. Now, can you go and check this one? What is 5 power 7 mod 13? Quickly check this one. Tell me the result. What is 5 power 7 mod 13? And also check what is 5 power 11 mod 13. Quickly compute this. So when you compute this, you will be shocked to see the result. 5 power 7 mod 13 is 8, and also 5 power 11 mod 13 is 8. So we are getting the same result for different values of I. Say 5 power 3 mod 13 is 8, 5 power 7 mod 13 is 8, 5 power 11 mod 13 is 8. So now the question is, what is I? Is I 7? Is I 11? Is I 3? Because for all these exponents, when you raise 5 to the power 3, 5 to the power 7, 5 to the power 11, our result is 8. But for discrete logarithms in cryptography, we need a unique answer. Discrete logarithm for I should be unique, should be distinct. So it should be like 5 power 3 gives me 8, 5 power 7 mod 13 should give me some other result, 5 power 11 mod 13 should give me some other result. So discrete logarithm should give us a unique distinct result. So I, please keep this in mind, I should not have duplicates. Here we have duplicate values for I, right? 3 gives the same result, 7 gives the same result, 11 gives the same result. When we substitute that is in an equation, 5 raised to the power I mod 13. So we are getting duplicates here, whereas in discrete logarithms duplicates are not allowed. So we have to select values such that we don't have I to be a duplicate. So we should consider only cases where D log gives us a unique answer. So I cannot have duplicates. That is the point here. Only then we can use discrete logarithm in our algorithms in cryptography. So the next question comes up. How to know I will give us distinct values or not. So for that we have to understand a concept called primitive roots. Say a is equal to b per I mod m. This we have seen, right? So I is the discrete log of b mod m of a. So now what is a primitive root? We have to understand the definition of a primitive root. So we can get a unique value of I if b is a primitive root of prime modulo m. So what they say is this I can be an unique value. We will not get any duplicates for I if this value is a primitive root of prime m. So b, the value b should be primitive root of this m is a prime number, prime modulo m. So if you want I to have unique values, what is the condition you have to take here? B should be a primitive root of a prime m. So m should be a prime number. So next, what is this primitive root? We have to understand that. For that, we'll take an example and understand. Say primitive root, we'll understand what is primitive root in this slide. We know this, right? A is equal to b per I mod m. We should check whether b is a primitive root of m. Why we should check that? Only then I will have distinct values. Let's understand selecting primitive roots by considering m to be 13. Let's assume that we have taken m as 13. So how will we select b? How will we know whether b is a primitive root of 13? For that we have to go with this with these steps. So let's take b. We are going to take all the value of b starting from 1 to 1 less than m. So this is m minus 1. What is m? M is 13. So we are going to take all the values of b from 1 to 12. And then what we are going to do is we are going to take every value and raise it to the power 1 to 12. So again this is b per m minus 1. And what we are going to do here is in every column we are going to do b per 1 mod m. This is b square mod m, b3 mod m, b4 mod m, b5 mod m. Like that we are going to do b per 12 mod m, that is nothing but b per m minus 1 mod m. So we are going to take every value of b and we are going to perform this. So when you take 1 and you raise it, 1 per 1 is 1, 1 square is 1. So 1 per 1 mod m, that is 1 mod 13. What is 1 mod 13? It's 1. Likewise 1 mod 13 is 1. So 1 raised to the power of anything is 1. So you're going to have all 1s here. Is that clear? Likewise you take 2 and you perform 2 per 1 mod 13 is, it's going to be a 2 here. 2 square mod 13 is 4. So that's what is given here. What is 2 cube mod 13? That is 8. That is 2 per 4 mod 13. 2 per 4 is 16. 16 mod 13 is, the remainder is 3. So don't forget to do a mod m. We have taken m, assumed m to be 13 here. So like that you perform this 2 per 12 mod 13 will give you the remainder as 1. 2 per 11 mod 13 is 7. So like that you take every value of b, raise it to the power and perform mod m. So 3 per 1 mod m is 3. Like that you see 391, 391, 391 and 391. So 3 per 12 mod 13 is, the remainder is 1. You can go and check that. So you repeat this computation, you complete this table, you take 4, 4 per 1 mod m is 4 and 4 per 3 mod 13 is 12. So you repeat this computation. For 5 you carry out the computation, for 6 you carry out the computation, for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you're going to take all the values for b starting from 1 to m minus 1. So what is m here? 13. So we have taken values of b from 1 to 12 and we have computed this by using b raised to the power mod 13. What is m here? Mod 13. And what is this? B raised to the power 1 to b raised to the power m minus 1. So 13 minus 1 is 12. So this is b raised to the power 12 mod m. That is nothing but b raised to the power 12 mod 13. So you have completed this table. Now we have to select the primitive roots of m. So let us take a look at 2. When you take a look at this particular row, you can see every value here: 2, 4, 8, 3, 6, 12, 11, 9, 5, 10, 7, 1. There is no repetition here. There are no duplicates here. 2 raised to the power 1 gives a different value. 2 raised to the power 2 mod m gives a different value. 2 raised to the power 3 mod m gives a different value. So all are distinct values here. So you say 2 is a primitive root of 13. But 1 is not a primitive root of 13 because we have all duplicate values. Because when you raise 1 to the power 1 mod 13, you're going to get 1, and 1 to the power 10 mod 13, you're going to get 1. So this exponent 10 and 1 will lead us to duplicate values. Almost every exponent leads us to duplicate values. So again, can we take 3 to be the primitive root? 391, 391. See here, there's a duplicate 3939. So b power 1 mod m gives 3. Likewise, b power 4 mod m gives 3. So here the exponents leads us to the same value. So we have duplicate exponents here. So when you have duplicate values in your selected rows, so you're going to exempt that. So 3 is not a primitive root of 13. Is 4 a primitive root of 13? 4, 3, 12, 9, 10, 1. Again 4, 3, 12, 9, 10. So 4 is not a primitive root of 13. Is 5 a primitive root of 13? You see, 5 power 3 gives us 8. 5 power 3 mod 13 gives us 8. Likewise, 5 power 7 mod 13 gives us 8. And 5 power 11 mod 13 gives us 8. So when the exponent is 1 raised to the, when the exponent is 1 and the exponent is 7 and the exponent is 11, we are going to get the same result. This is what we have seen in the previous slide. 5 power 3 mod 13 is 8, 5 power 7 mod 13 is 8, and 5 power 11 mod 13 is 8. So I has got a lot of duplicate values. So this is not a primitive root. Likewise, can you check 6? 6, all the values are distinct, unique values. So 6 is a primitive root of 13. What about 7? 7 again has got all the values to be distinct values. So 7 is a primitive root of 13. What about 8? 8, 12, 5, 8, 12, 5. So 8 is not a primitive root. What about 9? 9 has got duplicate values, not a primitive root. What about 10? 10, 9, 12, 3 and 10, 9, 12, 3. Again 10 has duplicate values, not a primitive root. And what about 11? 11 has got all unique values, so 11 is a primitive root. 12 again has got duplicate values. So finally what we conclude here is the primitive roots of 13 is nothing but we have 2 to be a primitive root, we have 6, 7, 11. So when you are going to use m to be 13, when we select b to be either 2, 6, 7 or 11, only then I will have a distinct value. You understood? Only then we can use that in our algorithms. So when you're selecting m, you have to see to that the b is a primitive root of m so that we get a distinct value of I. I hope I am clear with this concept. So you should never have a confusion on how to find primitive roots, and you have to use a primitive root in your algorithm so that you get distinct values for I, or you get unique discrete logarithms. So now let us go and take a look at the definition for primitive root. We have understood what is a primitive root. If b is a primitive root of mod m, so if b is a primitive root of mod m, what it means, m should be a prime number, then b power 1 mod m, b power 2 mod m, b power 3 mod m up till b power m minus 1 mod m are distinct values. This is what we have seen with an example. So when all these results give us distinct values, we can say b is a primitive root of prime mod m. So let us take a look at the definition of discrete logarithms. Let's consider a to be any arbitrary integer relatively prime to m. So a is relatively prime to n and b is a primitive root of m. So we know what is the primitive root. Then there exists exactly one number I such that a is equal to b per I mod m. What they say here is if b is a primitive root of prime m, then there exists only one value for I that leads us to this equation. So the number I is then called the discrete logarithm of a with respect to the base b modulo m and is denoted like this. So when b is a primitive root of prime m, we can very well say I is the discrete logarithm of a to the base b mod m. I hope you are all now clear with what is a discrete logarithm, what is a primitive root. Now there's an exercise for you. Can you check if 5 is a primitive root of mod 7? You have to give me the answer. Quickly, can you just try it out? So here is this takeaway from this discrete logarithm concept. Say it's very easy when you know all the values this side, it's very easy to compute this. But then when I ask you to compute the discrete logarithm given a, b and m, it's really tough. It's tough in the sense you have already seen that with the examples, right? When we know a, b and m, but we need to find I for large numbers, say when a, b and m are say 2000 bit numbers and it's very large and you want to find I, you cannot go with brute force and things like that. It's going to take a lot of time. So that is the key takeaway from this session on discrete logarithms. It's very easy to compute this side when you know all b, I and m values. It's very easy to compute a, but the other way around, to compute I by knowing a, b and m for very large numbers is really difficult. So again, can you take up the exercise? I've just given a very small number here. Can you tell me what is the discrete log I here? Or else we can even write it like this: 1922 is equal to 17 per I mod 2111. Can you tell me what is the answer here? What is the value of I? I'm just giving you this exercise to make you understand it's difficult when you want to compute the exponent by using all the other values. So the value is actually 12. You can try 17 per 0 to 17 per 12 and you'll be able to achieve an answer. That's what I'm telling you. When these numbers are very large and trying a brute force itself is going to take a lot of time here. So you can think of a number of 2048 bits in size, how much large it is. So these algorithms actually work for large numbers. Please keep this in mind. If you take all these small numbers, then this is very insecure, right? Easily an attacker can go with brute force attack and decode what you're sending. So that is the key here. If you have large numbers, and even when the attacker knows these numbers, it will be very difficult for him to compute I. The computation of I is really difficult. We're going to use this and understand another concept called Diffie-Hellman key exchange. So Diffie-Hellman key exchange exploits or uses the advantages of discrete logarithms, and it is an algorithm purely for key exchange.